guys, it's Nurse Jet, Nursing the Truth. I hope everyone's having a great Thursday. I was fixing to say Tuesday, but I do remember it is Thursday. Nurse J's had a lot of things going on. New year, puppy being found, and the new haircut, the lob. I was used to having long hair for a long time. Then I just decided to do something a little different. So anyway, here I am, and thank you for the nice, kind comments. But anyway, moving forward as we go through 2020, hopefully there's going to be a big shift, and we can shift right on out of religion and right into spirituality. So, what am I going to be talking about today? It's always exposing historical truths, real or not real people, and the biblical tales, and really trying to fit the pieces to the puzzle, which this Roman aristocrat really has got us so bamboozled, we're like running in circles. They were good at mind games, just like they are today. But anyway, as much as we can find, because they wrote the history, his story, and so therefore they can have us looking for things that we may or not ever find out. But anyway, Saul, Saul, where art thou, Saul? Saul, why do you persecuteth me? Are those words very familiar to you? Yes. Remember Saul's, being blinded by the light, and Jesus comes down into the spiritual body and asks, why are you persecuting me? Well, I didn't think you could persecute a spirit, but oh well. Anywho, so let's go into the historical records as much as they want to give us. And little Sunny is sitting in my chair, so now she's getting the truth as well. So sit down, little Sunny, and get your dog bone and get educated. So anyway, Costobarus is an Idumean name, and this Costobarus was associated with Herod the Great. As I said, Herod the Great was of the great Herodian dynasty, and even though he did, come from the Maccabean line through Eleazar Aaron, and he married the Hasmonean princess Miriam the First, and her father was Matthias Antigonus. Oh wow! Doesn't that sound like another humdinger? Josephus says, I am from the family of Matthias. So, anywho, we're getting to that. So, just hold on. So, anyway, this Costobarus was associated with Herod the Great. And Herod the Great put him in as a governor of Idumea. And also, this Costobarus was the husband of Herod's sister, Salome the First. And he was just regularly known as Costobar. Now, Costobar, the husband of Salome, he wanted to rise to power as well. And following the capitulation of Jerusalem in 37 BCE, during the campaign by Mark Antony and Herod against the Hasmonean king Antigonus, Costobar controlled the exits from the city. And around this time, Antony appointed Herod as Tetrarch of Judea, and Herod appointed Costobarus as governor of Idumea and Gaza. In 34 BCE, Herod gave his sister Salome in marriage to Costobarus. And he accepted this and accepted the favors from Herod. And even though he was never Herod's man per se, his focus was always on Idumea and his own ambitions in the region. And Costobarus also resented the Hasmonean John Hyrcanus, had made the Idumeans adopt the customs and laws of the Jews. You see, Costobarus in Idumea, Edom, was, worshiping different gods or what have you from their pantheon. But John Hyrcanus from the Maccabees, they were nationalistic people of Judaism. And so basically, if you didn't do, or if you didn't convert, well, you see, it's like ISIS today. You either convert or you're going to get the sword. So people, don't let this thing fool you. And so anyway, he did not think it proper to carry out the orders on him from Herod. He also had ambitions to achieve greater things. And eventually Herod executed him because he knew what he was up to. And so Cleopatra kept asking Antony, for Idumea to be transferred to her instead of Herod. But she says it had always been to her ancestors, which that was correct, because Ptolemy and all that owned that area. Now, Costobarus was ready to transfer his loyalty to her and hoped that he would eventually become its ruler. Cleopatra did ask, but Antony refused. And like I said, Herod sought to kill Costobarus. As soon as he found out what Costobarus was up to, trying to be friends with Cleopatra and so forth and so on. And that's what happens. So, the next revelation in the third event of sequence is Salome initiated against Costobarus. Between 27 BCE and 25 BCE, she issued him a right of annulment, which the women was not permitted to do that under Jewish law, but Salome did so nonetheless. Salome was a tough old bird, and, she's going to do what she's going to do. So, anyway, she then informed Herod that Costobarus was intending to flee the country in the company of Herod's brother Pheroras, who was out of favor with Herod at this time because of his infatuation with the slave girl and his consequent rejection of a marriage which Herod had arranged. So, then we have Costobar and Saul. They were brothers. They were of royal Herodian brothers and relatives of Antipas, the son of Alexis, and of Agrippa II. Now, while Josephus does not specify the parents of Costobar and Saul, the name Costobar provides a clue. Their grandfather was very likely Costobarus, the one that I'm telling you that was married to Salome the first. He was the second husband of her, and like I said, there being only two individuals so named in all of Josephus's writings was the name Costobar. This means that Antipas, son of Alexis, was a nephew of Costobar and Saul, though their sister Cyprus, the daughter of Antipater. And Agrippa II was the first cousin, once removed to them through their aunt Bernice, who married Aristobulus, son of Herod, and are the parents of Agrippa I. Now, when the Jewish war, the insurrection, happened, the Roman war was gaining momentum, and Costobar and Saul and Antipas requested Agrippa II to send assistance to prevent the imminent uprising. And the two brothers also were active against the insurgents or zealots or rebels or rebellion. Now, following the Battle of Beth Horon in 66, in which the Jewish rebels defeated the Roman general Cestius, Costobar, Saul, Antipas were besieged in the royal palace. Subsequently, Costobar, with his brother Saul, escaped from Jerusalem to rejoin Cestus, who dispatched them to Emperor Nero. And all of this is found in wikipedia.org. But what is so striking, friends, is that the pen name of Titus Flavius Josephus writes about this Saul and Costobarus and gives the family of Costobar. And in the Bible, Saul is in there. But Paul is not. Costobar is not. But all of the family members of the Herodians is in there. And he even, in the Jewish War and in the Antiquities of the Jews, in the book, he gives the family genealogy. So, we know that Josephus knew this Saul. And he was writing as Saul Paul. And he was Cestius. And you can find the family genealogy line on wikipedia.org under the title Costobarus. And Costobarus and Salome had two children, Bernice and Antipater. By her marriage to Aristobulus, son of Herod, Bernice united the Costobarian and the Hasmonean sides of the Herodians. And the descendants of the two principals included two kings, Herod the first, Agrippa, and the second. And Herodias and Salome, the younger of the New Testament, a line of treasures of the temple, the brothers of Costobar and Saul. And the younger Salome was the matriarch of the Christian Aristobulus of Britannia. So, let's do this. Trying to find it. Now, as we know, Josephus' real name was Gnaeus Marcus Antonius Arius Calpurnus Piso. And how we know that is through the wonderful scholars that have been digging and have been looking, like Abelard Roussillon, Ronald Syme, John Durham, and Roman Piso as a pen name. These people have dedicated their lives and time and scholarship, and other people have been coming along the way and has been spreading the knowledge. So, this Costobar, Costobar, the grandfather of this Saul, he was living around, like I said, he died at, I think, at 25 or 27, I said, BCE. And he was a grandfather. So give another 20 years, that's the turn of the century, of his father. And so then Saul would have been born, like 10, something, 10 or 15. So he was around kicking it, right? So he would have, if you go by the genealogy, he would have been walking the streets with Josephus. And they were related. So all these people that give praise to Josephus in the state of Israel, do they know what the truth is? Did they know he was a Herodian? Did they know he's a Hasmonean and a Costabarian through the bloodline? Herod was evil. His sons were crackpots. But you're going to believe everything Josephus tells you. My friends, don't be so hoodwinked and bamboozled. And what the wonderful scholars did on Josephus's life and his Vita, he tells of the 3 marriages, and he gives the names of the wives and his children. And isn't it funny that he had one son named Hyrcanus of the Maccabean line? Hello. And you've got all this written down. So you start doing your research. And you're finding that the women, or the wife that he named, was from Crete. And she had these children. And then you find that the husband is attached to your name with these children's names. Well, the cat's out of the bag, my friend. So we have here, and you can go look at myheritage.com or geni.com, Geni, and it talks about Ksenia Area the Younger, born Miriam, Piso. And she was married to Gaius Calpurnius Piso. And she had 3 children. And even in this genealogy, it gives him as Arius Antonius Calpurnius, which that's another name of him as well, Josephus. Now, before this woman got passed around, see, even in Suetonius's works and maybe Tacitus, this area was married first, passing around, Silius Domitus. And then Gnaeus Piso. And then Lucius Piso. But then in the meantime, remember Caligula wanted her. And he married her as well. And sent Lucius Piso off in exile. Remember? And then Caligula was killed by the Pisos. And then Piso man came back in the reign of Claudius. So, she was related to T. Flavia Sabinus. And Josephus, as Arius Calpurnius Piso, was the grand uncle of Vespasian. And Vespasian's brother was Josephus's grandfather. And the Pisos and the Herodians and the Flavians were all connected, even with the Hasmonean line. So Arius Calpurnius Piso, born in 37, whether it's Caligula's son or whether it was a real Piso son, no DNA back then. So you start from his life, you get the wives' names, you start searching through Roman stuff and you find it, and then you get the players. So in 37 he's born. He's a Herodian, a Hasmonean, a Flavian, and a Piso. Which, come to find out, Julius Caesar married his first cousin, a Pisonian. Now, the Costobaran line was mixed with the Hasmonean and the Herodian and the Costobarian. So now, all the lines are linked. Costobarian, Hasmonean, Herodian, Piso-Flavian dynasty. So Arius, Josephus, is related to Saul, the real historical Saul. But the writers had to spin all these names on Josephus because he was a powerful man. And the Pisos were the richest family of the day. And they were also governor and kings in Syria. There was a lot of stuff going down in that time period. They were all Romans. Even though they had the bloodline of this and the bloodline of that, they chose to go that way. So in the story, Josephus and them were really having a heyday writing this stuff. Even under Saul, he was writing things about his family member. And then under Paul Josephus, he was writing true historical accounts. And then as these Roman generals and his family members that were kings of Judea through the Roman Empire, he was writing true accounts. So, isn't this strange? Why does not anyone question this? And if you are a Christian and you have hopped on my channel, you need to stick with me. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell you you're crazy, because I was on that bandwagon for a long time. But when you really find out the players in this situation, in this big book of ours, really starts to make a lot of sense. So now we're going to jump to this. And you can also find, here I go, hold on. If you go to genie.com, it says Saulus, Thaddeus, Alexander Herod, son of Antipater and Cyprus, princess of Judea. He was the brother of Cyprus and Costobarus. And even in this, it talks about how this Saul was in Jerusalem to Emperor Nero in Corinth. And it talks about, the temple treasures and all this kind of stuff. And it talks about Saul. The Saul was written in Josephus's books, and it gives detailed stories about all of this. So you decide. Even if you don't want to believe it, Romans 16, chapter 16, gives you a list of his family members. And through the book that Josephus provided, or Arius provided, it's dead on. This is talking truly about the Jewish war that happened in the 60s, 66 to 73 to be exact, with the ending in Masada, where they all committed suicide because they knew that they would be taken to Rome as slaves. And Josephus was there for that. And then in the process of it all, when he destroyed the temple with Titus, he took all of the scrolls and everything that they had as they were burning it to the ground. And then he went off into Bithynia and Panoa, and he started writing. And with all of his kinsfolks, Seneca and Rufus and the Pisonian family and him and his sons, they have had a heyday. They have had a wonderful day. And people, Julius Caesar was your first deified god. And his adopted sons were called the sons of God. So, how can you write a book that was breathed by the Spirit of the Holy Father and going through men, as in 1 Timothy, writing it down on paper, that Jesus was the Son of God? But did God have a problem? Did God sleep on something? Did he forget that he told the Roman Empire to deify Caesar and to make his adopted sons the Son of God? Until next time, Hotep and Ashe, and we will see you next time, friends. Have a great day.